stand, let's sing glory to his name. Down at the cross where my Savior died, down where for grief's sake for sin I cried, there to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to his name, glory to his name, glory to his name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to his name. I am so wondrously saved from sin. Jesus so sweetly abides within. There at the cross where he took me in. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to his name. Oh, precious fountain that saves from sin. I am so glad I have entered in. There Jesus saves me and keeps me clean. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to his name. Come to this fountain so rich and sweet. Cast up her soul at the Savior's feet. Plunge into today and be made complete. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to his name. Can I get the ushers to come up? Brother Blaine, will you lead us in prayer? Y'all stand up for this next song. Let's stand up for Jesus. What do you say? Are you going to sing? Brother Colby,
How's everybody doing tonight? All right. That's what I like to hear right there. I'll go ahead and be honest, though. Some of y'all do not look like you want to be here. And I say that with a heavy heart. I'm not trying to criticize anybody, but we got to get back to coming to church for the right reasons. You know, you got to ask yourself, what is your reason for coming to church? What's your reason, brother? Love the Lord. Yours? Worship Him. Yours? Sing, praise. Yours? Worship the Lord. With all those answers, sounds like we should be here for the right reasons, right? In the Bible, it tells us to seek God, and all these things will be added unto you. We need to get back to where we're seeking God. I was reading the other day that over 35% of faithful church members are going only out of obligation. Only going out of obligation. You might be sitting here thinking, that's not me. The thing about walking through a path in life is you recognize who's walking it as well. There's been many a years I've grew up for a long time, about 18 years of being a preacher's kid. being made to go to church every single time that the doors were open, up until the time I was 18 years old. So I know the look of obligation when I see it. You don't have to say a word, you can smile, but it's written all in your eyes. And it breaks my heart that we have such a merciful and loving God that wants to give us the best things in life, wants to prosper us and give us lessons and strengthens us. But we can get more excited about a football game or a baseball game or a sporting event or a race. We can even get excited about making money. We can get excited about anything of this world, but we can't get excited about coming into the house of God. That's a shame. That is an absolute shame. Have we lost our purpose? Have we lost our drive? What does people need to wake up? I spoke here on a Wednesday night a while back, and I'll say what I said that night, that the prophecies are fulfilled. God is waiting on us. He is waiting on us to come back. Because looking out on a crowd, and trust me, I've traveled to a lot of different churches. It ain't just this church. It's all across America, and it's all across Southeast Georgia. Looking out at this crowd, we ain't near ready. We're not even close to being ready for the return of the Savior. So you got to ask yourself, why am I here? Is it so Brother Jimmy doesn't talk about you? I can use you as an example. You can pick on me later about it. Is it so we keep up that appearance? Is it because you're a deacon? Is it because you hold a position? Is it because you teach a Sunday school like class? Is it because you sing in a choir? Is it because you lead the choir? Is it because you're a minister? Why are you here? You've got to ask yourself that question. Why do you wake up and come to church? And if you are you coming prepared? I was speaking with a lady the other day, and I do a little bit of a social outreach on Facebook and all as far as my ministries go. And I have a lot of people come to me on Facebook and asking me questions and asking for advice and everything. And I had a lady come to me the other day. She said, I've hit a rut and I can't get out. I feel like I'm not gaining anything. She said, I'm reading my Bible every single day. I'm at the church every time the doors are open, but I can't seem to grow as a Christian. I can't seem to grow as a person. What is wrong? What am I doing? I said, why do you read your Bible every night? Well, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel good at night to read my Bible. I said, that's a good reason. It makes me feel good sometimes too. Other times it steps on all over my toes. So why do you go to church? So I go to learn about God. I go to fellowship, and I go to feel good because, hey, going to church feels good. We praise, we worship, I have a good time. I feel so relaxed when I go to leave. I said, that's your problem. That's your problem. You're not going for the fullness of God. You're only getting a partial. If you're going to feel good at church, you're only getting a partial. That's something I had to change about myself and change about my prayer. It's God, I was praying for Him to give me things to strengthen me. But when I changed my prayer to God, give me what you want me to have. Whether it hurts my feelings or not, show me my toxic traits. Show me why I'm here. Show me what I'm doing. Show me why I worship. Even if it crushes me on the inside, if it crushes me to know some really hurtful things about myself, teach me, because it's about your will and not mine. Your will is way better than I have ever imagined. Teach me. That's something you got to change. hey, now that I started changing that, I come and I get my cup full every single time. And that's today's message is I thirst. I thirst. And if you want to go ahead and turn over to John chapter 4, that's where we'll be out of. Just look up whenever you get there. Let me know everybody's ready. Now, before I get into the scripture, I have to tell you about this story. And if you're a Facebook friend of mine, then you probably have seen me post about it one time. It was a few months ago. Most everybody here knows that I have a lawn care business. But I always stop and take time to talk to especially older people. And I had this guy on a golf course. I'm not going to say what golf course, and I'm not even going to say his name for privacy reasons. Let's call him Greg. That's a pretty basic name. I stopped by, and I got his yard done, and I do my normal thing. I go up to his house. He was there this time. His wife, it was Thursday, so she was off getting her nails and hair done. This man is wealthy. I'm talking about loaded. Loaded. He owns a corner of the golf course, y'all. A corner of it. A whole pond back there and everything, too. You know how much money you got to make to own a corner of the golf course? A lot. I knocked on his door, and he's usually very cheerful, very happy kind of guy. Older guy. And but today something was off. And I'd never been inside this house before. But today he invited me in. He said, come on in, Colby. He said, let me go grab my checkbook real quick. And I walked in, and it was like a coliseum on the inside. I'm talking about it was huge. I was just complimenting him on his house, being polite. I said, man, you got a huge house. It's beautiful. I love this grain work over here. He said, yeah, it's all right. I said, kind of chuckled. I said, it's all right. I said, man, it's a huge house. I mean, how many bedrooms you got in here? Like 12? He said, it ain't all that. And I could tell something was bothering him then. I said, Mr. Greg, what's wrong? He looked at me. He said, is it written all over me? I said, yeah, it is. He said, it's funny that you complimented my house is because the last few days I've been troubled about everything that I have. He said, I got a nice Mercedes, brand new, sitting in the carport. I got a garage full of stuff and equipment that I don't even use. I got all this land back here. I got possessions. Me and my wife do like 5 trips per year to different places. They just come back from Belize. Man that should be happy was just not. He said, I didn't grow up with everything. He said, I actually took a lot of hand-me-downs from older cousins and older siblings. And he said, I remember going to school and people laughing at me. He said, I hated that. I hated it. He said, I wanted to make sure that my kids never had to go through that. I said, that's pretty admirable. He said, just let me finish the story. He said, I did. He said, I grew up. He said, I played football for UGA. He said, I had a wonderful life. He said, I come back to Blackshear. He said, I started my own business. It's been very successful. He said, I've been able to go and do around the world as I saw fit. He said, I bought whatever I wanted to. I've got this nice house. He said, my kids never did without. He said, but when they were young, I didn't have a lot of time for them. He said, I forgot to give them the most important thing. I said, what's that? He said, a father. He said, now my kids are too busy to come see me. A man that should have everything. And he had nothing. Nothing whatsoever. None of it mattered to him. All he wanted was his kids to come and see him and talk for a little while. See, he still thirsted for something. Man that had everything still thirsted for something, and that's something that we see with the woman at the well. This woman was a Samaritan. And first off, Jews are not supposed to mingle with Samaritans. But Jesus was traveling, and he had to go through Samaria that day. And he stopped at this well. He said, there was this woman that was there. And he said, give me a drink. Jesus was thirsty. He said, give me a drink. And she pointed out that she was a Samaritan and he was a Jew, and they wasn't supposed to mingle. They wasn't even supposed to have anything to do with each other. And he paraphrased, and he said, I really don't care about all that. I love you anyways. She didn't know that yet, but he did. And this is something that he went on to say. He's talking about the well and getting something to drink. And he went down to verse 10. Said, Jesus answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. And then she pretty much says, I don't have a bucket. You know what I thought was funny about this message? About this whole section right here is that Jesus never drank. He never once drank. He never once took water from the well. I've read it time and time again trying to find out where that he actually did drink and he didn't. What he was trying to get her to realize was he wasn't thirsty. She was. That he didn't need water from the well because he was the well. She didn't need a bucket because she was the bucket. In verse 14, it says, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. You ever been thirsty, have an unquenchable thirst? You ever had a scratch you couldn't quite get to? You ever been so hungry that you can't eat enough? There was a time in my life where I was in that self-promoting thing. I was all about myself, building myself. I didn't really care about anybody else. I just tuned everybody else out. I only cared about my world and what I did in it. I only cared about my job. I only cared about making my money. I only cared about having a nice, fast car, looking good because I went and got my hair cut every week. I was working out. I was competing. I was all about myself. Now, I can imagine God being upstairs looking down on me. He's like, I knew I said I was going to use him, but he's kind of an idiot. Something I realized even going through all that, because I had everything I shot for. Everything I put my mind to, I went after and I got it. There was nothing that could stop me. My willpower was exceeding. I had a very hard determination about me. And every goal that I set, I made sure that I achieved it. But I still found out at the end of those roads that I was still missing something. I couldn't ever make enough money. I couldn't ever drink enough alcohol. I couldn't win enough competitions. I couldn't look good enough. Nothing satisfied me. I was still thirsting for something. And when you thirst for something, You don't quite know what it is. I know someone who does. Knows exactly what you need. Now, if you had an unquenchable thirst, let's say that you needed success. Let's say that you needed a new car. Let's say that you make a lot of money. You can't have enough relationships. You can't have enough fake friendships, not the real ones. Because status, tells us who we are, right? You can't even fill the gap and the void in your life with your family or your kids or nothing. It's quite satisfying. Brother, can you look at that? Is that enough water to satisfy an unquenchable thirst? No? Can anybody see that? Think that's enough? It's not. Because I'm not even that thirsty right now, and it still didn't quench mine. But if you come to God and you seek Him and you long for Him and you want to be taught by Him and you want to grow, hey, I'm telling you, when He starts giving you water, there ain't no stopping it, because He's the Alpha, He's the Omega, He's the beginning, He's the end. He is the living water. He is the well. He is my Creator. He gives me undeserved joy and peace. He sacrificed His Son for me. He keeps on giving even though I don't deserve it. And my cup runneth over. Somebody here tonight is still thirsting for something. I don't know who you are, but you are, and you know it. Why don't you come and get it right tonight? You've tried it your way for so long, and nothing's ever worked out. Nothing can quench it, maybe temporarily. Why don't you come today to get your cup filled to where you never have to thirst again? As the song leader, the pianist comes with a hymn of invitation, I want to ask you tonight, what is your excuse? What's your hang up? What's your hold up? Now I'll ask you, once you're thinking of that excuse, I want to ask you, is that excuse, is it good enough to hold you back from the glory of God? Is that excuse important enough in your life to keep you out of heaven? Is that excuse that you're thinking of, that reason why not to come to tonight and get it right and come to the altar and lay down some burdens and have your cup filled, if that excuse is more important than your relationship and your joy and your peace, then stay where you are. You don't have to move. You can keep going through your life not knowing exactly what kind of joy I'm talking about. Or you can come and get it right tonight. What have you got to lose? You tried it your way. Why not try it God's way? Come. Thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I've thoroughly enjoyed it this week. Hopefully I'll be speaking again here soon. Be safe this week and go out and don't forget your purpose. If you're a born-again Christian, we are supposed to be winning souls for the army of God. Don't get so caught up in your everyday lives that you forget to reach out and touch somebody. Brother Simon, will you dismiss us?